Hi, everyone. Ferguson is finally laying down to sleep after running around the house like so wild for the last couple hours. We were able to pick him up this afternoon. He has been in the hospital for 7 days, and we brought him home this afternoon, and I thought, oh, we're going to cuddle so much. And honestly, he was just so happy to get to run around and play that he has been like bouncing off the walls for like 3 hours straight. And now he is finally laying down. So he probably, I thought, oh, I'll wait until he lays down to, I wanted to do a live to explain more about everything that's been going on this week. And I thought I'll wait until he sits in one place. But now I realize it probably looks like, oh gosh, is he okay? But yes, he's okay. He's sleeping right now. Falling asleep right now. This is his, oh, sorry. I woke you up. This is where he sleeps. This is his favorite spot in our bedroom. And he just went right to the top of it for a nap. So he's exhausted because he is such a playful little guy, and he has been, in the hospital for 7 days. So he hasn't really been able to play. So he's making up for lost time. Hi, Caitlin. Yes, this is in our bedroom. We have cat stuff all over the house. We actually have 2 cat trees in our bedroom, but this one is his. This one is his favorite one. So, I cannot tell you how happy we are to have him home. We genuinely, as of this morning, didn't know if we would ever be able to bring him home again. And now he's home. Andrew and I both cried a lot. We were so happy. We couldn't believe it. It's really amazing. This cat has such a will to live. Some combination of that and having an amazing team of people who care about him, and a helicopter parent, which is me. He's got a lot of advocates in his corner. All of you in his corner. Honestly, he's such a cool, I've been doing this a long time. I deal with a lot of interesting, weird cases. There's not a cat that I find more inspiring than Ferguson. He is just... And if you had all the details, you would just be blown away. So that's what I wanted to do here. I wanted to kind of tell you guys some of the details. This is me trying to get him to eat kidney diet. We're going to see if you'll eat kidney food. I wanted to give you guys some of the details. I never know exactly how much to share because honestly, his case is so weird and unique. And he's like, will you stop talking right next to my head? I might let him sleep and just talk to you guys, but I know you'd rather see him and not my face. But I wanted you to see him at least as he's falling asleep here. Yeah, so I want to share stuff, but I don't know how interesting it is. Well, to me, it's really interesting. So where do I start? Do I just keep this on him while he's sleeping? Is this fun to look at? I don't know. I don't want to disturb him. Don't worry about not showing him. Okay, maybe I'll give him a second and I'll just talk. Let's see. I'm gonna put it on myself. Oh yikes! I'm not as fun to look at as Fergie, but I'm gonna sit and talk and tell you guys what's been going on. So where do I begin? At the beginning? Okay, so if you guys have been following Ferguson, he came here as a orphan with siblings about 7 months ago, and he always had issues. And he was on antibiotics since he was days old. Kind of one of those situations where we were like, we're not sure what his issues are, but our vet put him on a broad spectrum antibiotic. He seemed to stabilize. I'm talking when he was like days old. We did the course of the antibiotics. He got really sick again, and we were like, I don't know, let's put him back on the antibiotics. Put him back on the antibiotics. He would stabilize, take him off, he would get sick. And that happened so many times that it basically was like that all the way until he was like 2 months old. And we were like, what is going on with this cat? We took him in for, all of the diagnostics. He had strange kidney values. We brought him to a nephrologist, which is like a kidney specialist. This is when he's like about 2 months old. And he just, he had like severe pyelonephritis. Pyelonephritis is a fancy term for kidney infection. And, for maybe obvious reasons, doctors and veterinarians, human doctors and animal doctors, veterinarians don't want to keep anyone on antibiotics for the duration of their life. So it was like kind of this whole discussion of like, do we keep him on? Do we keep him off? What do we do? We never, ever, ever, ever in his whole life have had a urinalysis come back with bacteria in it. And we've had urine cultures done, and there's been no evidence of bacteria. So it's kind of one of these weird things where we know antibiotics help him, but we don't really know why. He's had, obviously, he's been going to the nephrologist every couple weeks for most of his life now. And the first time we went when he was 8 weeks old, we basically were told he doesn't have very long, maybe a couple weeks. We were not even instructed to make a follow-up appointment because it was kind of like, there's nothing we can do, and it became a hospice situation where we were like, okay, he's not going to have a long life. And I felt so sad for him because, his friends and his sibling were getting adopted. This is, again, I'm talking about when he was 8, 9, 10 weeks old. We felt so bad for him because we weren't going to be able to adopt him out. So we decided, let's just symbolically adopt him. Let's adopt him and give him a good last couple weeks. And it was very emotional. And we were like, all right, I want him to feel like he has a home. And then we were just so darn good at keeping him alive that he was like, okay, now he's 3 months old. Now he's 4 months old. And his nephrologist could not believe everything that he was achieving, not without a lot of work, obviously. He's always been on a lot of medication. I am so fortunate to have one of my dearest friends is a veterinarian, Dr. Rachel Wallach, who is, many of you probably follow her. She's at @we_vet. Anyway, Rachel is amazing and has been so invested in him. We've done so much research trying to figure out just innovative things to try with him, different up and coming kind of supplements. We do so much for this kitten, and he has really done well. And so it went from being a conversation about, many months ago, he won't live very long, to okay, now we got to start thinking about maybe he is going to live for several months. So what's that going to look like? And so his nephrologist, again, I'm still talking about the past here. His nephrologist many months ago was like, well, we should see, now that he's got more weight on him, he's a little more stable, we should see, can he go off the antibiotics? So one by one, we were slowly tapering him off of the things that he was on. And he went off of his last antibiotic September 23rd. And he seemed to be doing okay. And we were like, okay, this is amazing. Like, he does not actually need to be on all these antibiotics. Again, we don't know why he was benefiting from being on the antibiotics so much when he was a baby, but he did. But I was like, this is great. Like, he doesn't need the antibiotics anymore. We still, up until he went into the hospital last week, we still were doing fluids. I was doing fluids every night, still with supplements, still with, he receives every day like an antacid and a phosphorus binder and probiotic. Anyway, so, he still had medications he was on, but not antibiotics. And so he's been doing good. He's been doing well for, since that time, but we started noticing a little bit over a week ago that I was just like, he was drinking a lot more water, which I feel like everybody always says, like, if your cat starts drinking more water, like, go to the vet. That is true. If your cat is drinking a bunch of water, go to the vet. Like, the hard thing about Ferguson is he's always drinking a lot of water because he has kidney disease. So he's always drinking a lot of water. And it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, is he drinking more water, or is he just drinking, like, is he drinking a lot, or is he drinking a lot? Because he drinks a lot of water anyway, like when he's normal. But he was drinking, I think he was drinking a lot of water. And he looked like he was losing a little bit of weight. I finally weighed him, and he had actually dropped almost an entire pound since his 6-month birthday, which was only 3 weeks ago. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's a problem, because obviously if you're a baby, your only job is to get bigger. You're not supposed to get smaller. So I was like, wow, okay, this is a problem. Like, he was very rapidly becoming dehydrated, very rapidly becoming like gaunt looking. His coat didn't look right. And the last night that he was here, last Sunday, he was behaving weird. He like went in the closet and laid on the floor in the closet. And I was like, this is not good. All of these things are a sign. If your cat starts behaving in a different way, they're like hiding, they're like drinking more water, they look a little off. Let me tell you, like, no one knows better than me right now, because I've like gone through so much health stuff this year with my cats. Like, any of those like subtle, it could be very subtle changes, go to the vet, for real. Like, go to the vet, like same day, go to the vet. His nephrologist, that was Sunday night that we were like, we got to go to the vet. And I called my friend, Dr. Rachel, and asked, like, should I take him tonight to the emergency room, or should I wait until morning and take him to the nephrologist? And we were like, okay, we decided he was stable enough. We're going to take him first thing to the nephrologist. 9 a.m., I'm like at the nephrologist, the first thing that she gets there. And I thought, we'll do like this outpatient appointment and we'll see what happens. So now I'm talking. So I just want to like clarify for anybody who's joining. I was talking about the past, catching everybody up. Now I'm talking about last Monday, so a week ago today. So a week ago today in the morning, Monday morning, we go to the nephrologist, and they take his blood work, and his kidney values were very high. We do blood work every couple weeks for him, so we know kind of what his normal is, and it does like fluctuate, but it was quite high, which meant that his kidneys were not doing well, which was what we expected. And so we were told would be good idea to get him in a hospital for 48 hours, to have him on IV fluids for 48 hours, hydrate him, get him on an IV antibiotic, and see if we can just like get him stable. So what I'm about to describe to you is like the roller coaster that I've been on this week. And this is why I've been asking people to be patient, because like it has been day to day. When I tell you every day this week, I've thought we were going to have a different outcome. So last Monday, I thought it was going to be, you know, he's not doing great right now, but we're going to hospitalize him for 2 days. He'll stabilize. He'll come home. Okay. So I brought him to not a specialty hospital. I just brought him to like a emergency hospital. And I chose the hospital because it's one where we can like visit. And obviously, like I want to be able to visit him. So I was like, we'll just take him there. You know, no big deal. It'll be easy. So we hospitalize him, and, you know, we visit him, and they're monitoring his levels, and his kidney values improved, but his electrolytes, which is another thing that they monitor, did not look normal. Okay. His sodium skyrocketed, and I don't expect any of you to understand any of this stuff because I'm just learning about it. These are not usually things that affect kittens, and I work with baby kittens, so people expect that I know a lot more than I do about like adult cat issues, but I'm ever growing in my knowledge. So his sodium was very high, and I'm like, why? What does that mean? What's that about? And his potassium was plummeting. So his sodium was going up, his potassium was going down. And we started talking about it, and I called the nephrologist, and she was like, he really needs to come to the specialty hospital next to where my nephrologist is, so that she could be like managing all of his care. So that was Tuesday. So Tuesday, Andrew and I drive to the hospital. We pick up Fergie. We bring him to the specialty hospital, and it like kind of started sinking in for me how serious this could be, because we started like becoming educated about how that high sodium could be affecting him, and it's very serious. Like, it's extremely serious. It's called secondary hypernatremia. Basically, what happens, in the simplest terms, and if there's any like nephrologists in here, please feel free to correct me. But in the simplest terms, what I understand it to be is when the body is like severely dehydrated, you know, when our bodies feel that we are severely dehydrated or dying, our bodies emit a hormone called ADH and another one called aldosterone, I think. And these are hormones that are stored in the pituitary gland. Does that sound right? Sounds right to me. And what happens with that is it is your body's way of trying to regulate your hydration and keep your systems going. But like an effect of that is that your sodium skyrockets and your potassium can plummet. And if your sodium goes too high, thank you guys, all the smart people in the chat, explaining, telling me that I'm doing a good job explaining it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh, we got so many smart people up in here. Y'all, I am so grateful for, like, I'm interrupting myself here, but I just kept thinking all week, like, how cool is it that there are people in the world who, like, went to school for years and years and years so that they could save my cat. Like, that's awesome. I mean, major props to people in vet med. I freaking love you guys. You're so cool. And human medicine. I mean, you're so cool. Look at me. I'm like tearing up just like thinking about how much gratitude I have. Because like, oh gosh, it is complex. And I'm so into learning about all this, but some of the conversations I'm like, can you spell that word? Anyway, so that was what happened for him. His sodium was really like dangerously high, to where you can basically have, tell me if I'm doing this right. I know I got smart people in here, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. You can have cerebral edema, which is like your brain is swelling and there's liquid in your brain. Is that right? Am I saying this right? You guys correct me. Yeah, basically it is very, very dangerous for their brains. And if his sodium were to keep going up, then it was going to result in serious problems for his brain, which could even lead to death. So it was like, yeah, so this is the roller coaster. So we're here. We're like, okay, Monday, I'm thinking, we're not doing so great, but 2 days later we'll be fine. And then Tuesday was like, my heart sank and it was like, okay, he really might be not okay. And the challenging thing is, if you know anything about the fluids that are given to cats, like it's sodium chloride. There's sodium in the fluids that you're giving, especially like the fluids I'm giving at home, lactated ringer solution, like it has sodium, like it's saline. So I'm like, how can he have, it's like this kind of catch-22 where it's like he needs the hydration, but he needs to not have the sodium going up. And so there's all of this like very complicated science of like what type of fluids they can have and like very specific protocol depending on the electrolyte content of their blood and all of this stuff, where it was like he had to be at the specialty hospital, because what a specialty hospital has is doctors, veterinary doctors who went to school for very specific things. They have a very specialized knowledge, and this hospital has a criticalist there, which, what a cool job. I mean, what an intense job. But basically, he needed to be with a criticalist who could figure out how to keep him alive while we try to get him stable with his kidneys. So the difficult thing is, this hospital's so amazing, and I'm like unbelievably grateful to them, but like they're so busy there, like you're not allowed to, I couldn't visit him. It's like hard to get through on the phone. So like I just was kind of having to like hope that like once a day I'd get a call. There was a moment while we were dropping him off on Tuesday where I was like in full panic saying goodbye to him, because I thought, I don't know if I'll see him again. I don't know, like, I know that I won't be able to visit him. It was just like really, if you knew me personally, you would know like giving up control is really hard for me, especially with animal care. Like, it's just very hard for me. And having to like say goodbye to him on Tuesday was just like so awful. And I really try to be like an emotionally stable, person, but I lost it. Like, he left and I was like having a panic attack in the car. And as I'm like trying to catch my breath, panicking, this angel walks out into the parking lot. I don't know. She follows me, so she might end up seeing this. I'm not going to name her because I don't know if she wants to be named. But an angel walks out into the parking lot, and she knocks on our car window, and she says to me, I just want you to know that I'm sorry, I'm like so emotional. I'm like going to cry just talking about this. Like, she says to me, like, I just want you to know I saw Ferguson's name on the board in there, and I thought, could that be Ferguson? Because she follows me. And she was like, I just wanted to come out and like say hi to you and tell you like you know, that he's got somebody, you know, he's got me in here, and like, I follow him and I love him, and I'm gonna like make sure that he's okay. And she doesn't even work in that department, but she was like, I'm gonna like check in on him and like make sure he's okay. And I like can't believe this woman like came out when she did, because I was like, it really was like guardian angel stuff. It was really cool. I was so like grateful to her, and I was like, wait, can you be my new best friend? I probably sounded so nuts. I was like, do you want to be my new best friend? She was like, sure. And I was like, can I like give you my phone number? And she was like, why don't you take my number? And I was like, I'm not going to bother this person. Like, but she was so kind. And this whole time she has like sent me videos, of him so that I could see him and know how he was doing, because I wasn't able to visit him. So I was just like, I'm like so grateful to her. I really need to like do something kind for her, because she like made my week so much easier. Like one of the hardest weeks. So, if she ever sees this, you know who you are. You really like made my week. So yeah, that was really cool. And she was able to answer questions. Like, you know, I couldn't always get through to ask questions, but she was able to see his chart and tell me like what's, you know, what medications he's getting and like what's going on a little bit. Anyway, so that's just Tuesday. You guys, this is a whole week and I'm only on Tuesday. This is like the ride that I've been on this week. So sorry for anybody joining and like seeing me cry. I'm happy. Ferguson is home. If you didn't see, Ferguson is home, and I'm crying because I'm just like relaying the story of everything that happened this week. Okay, I'm gonna plug my phone in so I can keep talking to you guys for a long time, because this is a long story, and I can't believe how many people are watching, even though it's just on me. Ferguson is taking a nap. All right, I'm plugging my phone in. Hang on. Okay. Something about me is that my phone is always about to die. Probably because I take so many freaking kitten videos. Okay. Okay, where was I? I was on Tuesday. So Tuesday, we drop him off. I'm like emotional. I talked to the tech who was so nice. And then we drive home without him, and I'm like, it was just very emotional. So then Wednesday, his nephrologist comes in, and she's like explaining all of the stuff they're doing and all of the protocol, and they're trying to get the sodium down, and it's like really scary. It like went up overnight more, I think. It was like, it was so much. I'm trying to remember exactly how it went. But Wednesday, it was the beginning of the day was like, we don't know how he's going to do. Then Wednesday evening, right before she left for the day, she called me and was like, I have really good news. This was Wednesday. I have really good news. His sodium went down and is normal now. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. And his kidney values looked good. And she was like, he's going to be able to come home tomorrow. This was last Wednesday. And I was like, I can't believe it. But I like didn't want to, rightfully so, it turned out. I didn't want to like get overexcited, because I was like, okay, you know, she was like, what we're going to do is, since he seems stable now, we're going to like take him off everything. They're going to take him off the IV fluids. We're going to take him off everything. And see how he does for the night. And he should be able to come home tomorrow, and we'll call you to let you know tomorrow. So I'm like, great. And we were so happy. So again, like, there's the roller coaster. So Thursday morning, early afternoon, she calls, and I like answer the phone like, hi, like expecting it to be like, come get him. And she's like, this is the nephrologist. She's like, I'm really sorry. I have like very bad news. And I'm like, okay. And she said basically like his kidney values went up so much overnight that they were worse than they were when we had come on Monday. So basically like he wasn't able to maintain stable kidney values off of IV fluids. So I'm like, okay, what does this mean? And this is Thursday, and we're like, well, and we start talking through all of it, and basically, if you were here the whole time, then you know I explained earlier, he used to be on antibiotics a lot as a baby, and he would do better. This time we had hoped that it was like, keep him stable, give him the antibiotics, give the antibiotics time to work, and hopefully this is like a pyelonephritis episode that is going to like be treated with those antibiotics, and he'll be stable and he'll be able to come home. What we thought on Thursday was this is not actually pyelonephritis, the kidney infection. This is just like damage to the kidneys that is not going to be reversible with antibiotics because he's not like responding to them, and he's dependent on being on IV. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm starting to play the tape forward, and I'm like, so what's this conversation then? Like, is this a euthanasia conversation? Is this like, what are our options? And she's like, well, there's like not good options. It's a bunch of not good options. And I see that you guys have questions. I'm planning on hanging out here with you guys for a while. I'm going to finish telling his story, and then I will answer questions. So Thursday, basically, it was like, I was like, is there any chance he just needs more time? Like, is there any chance that he just needs more time on the antibiotics? And she's like, maybe. And then this like wild thing happens. And this is wild, okay? Maybe you will feel the way that I feel about this. This is just crazy. So when he was a baby, and we were just we threw a broad spectrum antibiotic at him per our vet, which was just Clavamox. If you work in rescue, you probably know what Clavamox is. It's like a very commonly used broad spectrum antibiotic. And it worked well for him, but he also was on another drug called orbifloxacin, and we never knew which one was doing what, right? So I'm like, which antibiotics has he been on at the hospital? And yes, I will post this later if it lets me. Sometimes it has an error, but hopefully it will let me, because I would like people to be able to watch this. Anyway, I'm like, what antibiotics is he on? And they're like, well, he's on like basically orbifloxacin. And I was like, is he on Clavamox? And they're like, well, there's really no reason for him to be on Clavamox because like his urinalysis was negative, his urine culture was negative. Like there's no clinical reason that he should need Clavamox. And I feel like I'm like backseat driving a genius here, suggesting this stupid broad spectrum antibiotic. But I'm like, I just have to ask the question because I feel like we're at an impasse here where like, we're about to have to make like a horrible decision. And I'm like, can we just like, if it really is that he may not make it, can we just try this thing that did work for him as a baby? Like, we don't know why it worked, but we know that it worked when he was a baby. And we didn't know, like, is this the same kind of thing when he was a baby or what? And I'm like, how am I going to convince them to just like try to give him Unison, which is like an injectable form of Clavamox basically. And so I'm talking to my friend, Dr. Rachel, and I'm like on the phone with her, and we're like, oh, like we really like just wish that we could just like throw Unison at him to see if it has an effect like it did when he was a baby. And just then, the nephrologist calls. This is like late Thursday night. Or no, this is Friday morning? I don't know. And she calls and I answer and I'm like, I'm on the other line with my vet friend. Could I three-way connect us? And she's like, okay. So I three-way connect us and I listen to these two brilliant women have a conversation that is like whoosh, way over my head. And I'm just in the mix like, when he was a baby, he responded well to Clavamox, like just putting it out there. And the result of that conversation was that it was like, listen, things are so bad. It's like not going to hurt to try. Like there's no reason this should work, but it's not going to hurt to try. And so I'm like, okay, like let's just try. So yeah, I think it's Friday afternoon they start him on Unison. And the plan is she's not going to be there over the weekend. So what we'll do is like keep him on the protocol he's on and introduce the Unison, which is the Clavamox. And then that'll give him the weekend, because it usually takes like 48 hours for antibiotics to start taking effect, to see, is this going to help him or not? And when I tell you, I'm a pre-griever. Like when I can tell somebody is not going to make it, I grieve like before they pass. I grieved this kitten all weekend because I did not believe this was going to help him. I didn't 100% think it wasn't going to work, but I thought like there's no reason it's going to work. But I was like, there's a chance. It's just like a thing to try. I don't know. And all weekend, the nephrologist is off, and she deserves to be off. This woman works so hard. And so I am only getting like the ER, overnight ER vet would call me when they were getting off their shift at like 6 a.m, and I would never hear it. So I would get like a voicemail, and the voicemail would be very fast. It would just be like, Ferguson is stable, like ate dinner, continuing the protocol. Like, so I was not getting like a ton of information. And I'm like, I don't know what to expect all weekend. I'm just like so emotional, trying to distract ourselves. We're like trying to like just do stuff out of the house to like be distracted. And then this morning I'm like, okay, it's Monday. She's going to be in. And I know she gets in at 9. So I'm like waiting and waiting. Like, when is she going to call? Obviously she had to like do tests on him. Anyway, in the meantime, we took him off fluids Saturday night to see, with the inclusion of the Unison and 24 hours of no IV fluids, how would he be on Monday? And the question was, will he ever be stable enough to go home? And if not, then, that was going to be like it was going to be a really bad day. And she called, and she's like, oh my God, I'm going to cry talking about it. Like, she's like, his creatinine, which is like a kidney value, is 3.1, which is like still kidney disease, but it's like so much better. It was like really, really high. And she's like, yeah, his creatinine like went back down, and his BUN went like way down, and he was like maintaining good levels of sodium and potassium. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's after being off IV fluids. And I'm like, how did this happen? And she says to me, I don't know how, and I don't know why. This is a brilliant woman, by the way. She's like, I don't know how, and I don't know why, but like, I think it's the Unison. And we're like, this is just crazy. Like, this cat has to be on Clavamox for like his whole life, apparently. And I'm like, I can't believe it. That was like just a little moment of me being like, I'm just going to throw this idea out there that probably doesn't make sense, but I just have to say it because like we're at the point where I'm just throwing out ideas and like that's the thing is he needed unison and now he's like home. Like really, I can't. It's so crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I just feel like all of these little things came together with like just so many things had to come together for him to be okay. Like so many things had to come together for him to be okay, like ever in his life that he's 7 months old and he was not supposed to live for like more than, this kitten's been like his whole life. He's had more than 9 lives and he's still going. And I'm like, how? And the craziest thing is he's been like clinically okay this whole time. Like in terms of his like behavior, he's been this whole time. His nephrologist is like, everyone here loves him because he just jumps on our heads. And he like sleeps with his legs hanging out of the side of the kennel, and he like bats at stuff and he just wants to play. And like, he didn't even know he was sick. So for him, he just thought like he went on a really annoying vacation for a week where he was just getting poked and prodded and he doesn't know why. And now he's home and he's like, why'd you guys send me there? That was so silly. And I'm like, like I can barely catch my breath with this freaking cat who keeps us so on our toes. And like, I don't really want to like super celebrate so much because tomorrow's another new day. And like this whole week has been like up and down. But like today, in this moment, I can celebrate because somehow he's okay right now. It's crazy. I can't believe it. So that's the story. That is the story of Ferguson's life and week. So yeah, he's home and he looks so good. And we got him home and I thought he was going to like snuggle with us and he was like, peace out, I got to go play. Because I think he was so bored all week. So he was like zooming around, playing with everything. We got him like so many toys. Me and Andrew and Sonia today, as soon as we knew he was going to come home, we were like, oh my gosh, we got to like set the whole house up. I have I have 6 water fountains out for him. Literally, I have 6 water fountains for him. He has like toys everywhere. He's got like so much stuff. The first thing he wanted to do when he came home was scratch on the scratch post, which I'm like, oh yeah, but he hasn't gone to scratch on the scratch post in a week. He was like really happy to see the other cats, but our cats were like, you smell weird, dude, which is like just that's pretty normal, like non-recognition of a household member cat. When a cat has been at the vet, sometimes they smell different, and so your cats will be like, you're not part of our group anymore, but that quickly, they got over it quickly. And yeah, so there are some changes to his care now. Like, he is on a lot of medication right now, while we kind of like enter this next life in his 9, 10, 11, 12 lives. So a lot of his protocol has changed. One of the biggest changes is that I'm not supposed to do any subcutaneous fluids now for him because of the sodium. So I have to do all oral fluids. And I'm like, they're like, you need to get him to drink more. And I'm like, you don't understand. He already drinks all day. So I'm like, okay, we're going to like mix food with the water. We're going to mix water and treats, water and food. Like I have this thing called Hydra Care that's like a hydrating treat thing. I got like all of the hydrating stuff, and I'm like, this cat will stay hydrated if I have anything to do with it. But it's just different, and I'm really nervous about it. So we have another checkup in 2 days. So on Wednesday, I'll take him in to see how he's doing, and then I'll bring him again on next Monday. So he'll have a 2-day checkup and a 1-week checkup since leaving the hospital. And then we'll go from there. And I don't know. Like, people always ask me, like, what's his future gonna be? And, like, I have no idea because it changes from day to day. But, like, it's so weird. This is really weird. I'm, like, no bad feelings towards anybody who is kind of like a woo-woo person, but I'm not like a woo-woo kind of person. I'm like very much like a realist. I don't like believe in a lot of things that are kind of like, I don't know. What I was going to say is like, I have one of my only like weird things is when I like feel uncertain about something, I try to like imagine like, can I picture it? Like, can I picture, like if I'm on an airplane and I'm like, the airplane is, having turbulence and I'm scared. I picture, like, can I picture that I'm going to land and go, do this thing that I'm going to do? And if I can picture it, then I feel like, well, it's going to happen. I don't know how to explain it. I'm like, if I can picture it, then it's going to happen. And with this, I've been, like, trying to, like, picture. I'm like, can I picture it? And what I've been saying about it is, like, I can picture a world in which this does not go right. But I can also picture a world in which we're like, it was the dang Clavamox, and now we get to be triumphant again. And like, I've had these like triumphant moments with him before, and I'm like, I can picture a world in which this happens and we get to like celebrate. And so I'm like, well, if I can picture it, then like, maybe that's going to happen. I don't know. So now that it's happening, I'm like, I pictured it and it happened. Isn't that weird? I don't know. So yeah, it is wild. I'm going to show you guys him again. He's still just sleeping, but I will take you over to where he is. I just don't want to, like, alarm anybody who comes in and sees him sleeping, and then, like, I don't want you to be like, oh, no, he's, like, looks bad, but he looks great. He's just asleep. So, yeah, he's sleeping. I'm not going to bug him. But there he is in his favorite spot. Sometimes at night he hangs out with us, but honestly, most of the time, he sleeps up here. Oh, I'm sorry. I woke you up with the crinkle again. He's like, dang it. I'm sorry, baby. Yeah, this is mostly where he hangs out. So every night we're like, okay, good night, Fergie. And he like goes up here and goes to sleep. And at night we've been like looking at this cat tree and going like, oh, I wish like Fergie was up there. And now he is up here. And I guess I could have chosen a more active moment to do a live with him. But I thought, well, if he's running around, I'm not going to be able to get video of him. But now it just looks like he's just resting. So, ooh, stretching. he's like, okay, I'm sleeping. This poor child, he has had a lot of blood drawn in the last week. You can see he's like shaved on pretty much all of his legs and his side here from his ultrasounds. So he's had a tough week, but he is so resilient. I'm so proud of this cat. Okay, now that I'm done telling all that story, I'm going to answer questions. So there's so many comments, and obviously I'm not going to see everybody's comments this whole time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in the questions tab. So if you want to ask a question, click the questions tab, and I'm going to look there now, and I'm going to answer a couple of questions. Okay, and I'm not answering like general questions right now. I'm only going to answer questions about Fergie and his situation. And please don't put just like general comments in here, because now it's going to take me forever to scroll through, because I just want to look at questions. So if you have questions, put them in the questions tab. If you have comments, you can put them in the chat. What are the next steps? He's going to go in for a checkup on Wednesday and then again on Monday, and we're just going to monitor everything. We are going to not be doing any subcutaneous fluids with him for the next 2 days, and then we're going to see how his kidney values are without being on the subcutaneous fluids. Okay. Can he stay on Clavamox indefinitely? Ideally, no. He should not. However, being on antibiotics for your whole life is better than being dead. So if that's the only alternative, then yes, he will stay on Clavamox. What we talked about with the vet is that he definitely will be on Clavamox for like at least many months if he is able to rally for that long. We will keep him on for quite a long time. Okay, let's see. Where did the name Chimpy come from? When he was a baby, he would only eat Gerber chicken baby food, and so I called it his Chimpkins, just because, like, I don't know, when you're baby talking with an animal, you kind of, like, make things sound more cutesy. I don't know. At least I do. So I would say, like, come get your Chimpkins, and then I just started calling him Chimpy, and yeah, that's how he got his name, Chimpy. Okay, is there a reason the vets keep trying to take him off antibiotics when he has a history of getting sick when the meds are stopped? Well, yeah, it's not a good thing to be on antibiotics indefinitely for a number of reasons. One, it is not good for all life forms, all of us, because when people overuse antibiotics, it creates antibiotic-resistant bacteria, which makes it harder to treat humans and animals in the future. So in general, we don't want to overuse antibiotics with animals or humans. Another reason it's not a good thing to be on antibiotics for your whole life is because it can really do a number on your GI tract. You have to remember all bodies have bacteria in them, and your GI tract has a lot of good bacteria in it that you need. And so if you are on antibiotics, it doesn't just affect the nasty bacteria, it also affects like your good GI flora. So that is another reason. Why do subcutaneous fluids increase sodium, but drinking water doesn't? That's a great question. Well, water is, and I'm not a chemist, but my very basic understanding is water is H2O. So, hydrogen, oxygen. And the subcutaneous fluids we use are saline. So there is salt in it. So your giving much more salt with a electrolyte, like an electrolyte drink or a saline solution than with normal drinking water. I hope I explained that well. Does he need probiotics like humans do? Yes, he has always been on a probiotic. He gets a probiotic that is like specifically for animals with kidney disease. But we are actually now going to be doing a second antibiotic as well. So he's going to get that one a second probiotic as well. So he will get 2 different probiotics every day now. Let's see. How is Andrew doing? That's really sweet. Andrew is very, very relieved, like I am. Both of us cried a lot earlier when we found out that he would get to come home because we were so relieved. Okay, looking at more questions. Please only put questions in the questions tab. Otherwise, I'm having a hard time finding questions. Please give me the name of the hospital. My cat has a kidney issue. Well, the only veterinary nephrologist in San Diego is at UC Davis, San Diego. But you might not live in San Diego. So my recommendation is just to look up veterinary nephrologist, NEPHROLOGIST, veterinary nephrologist. And you can find somebody locally near you. Is there a reason sub-Q fluids aren't just water? You know, I'm sure there's a smart person in the comment section who can explain that, but it has to do with your body's ability to absorb through, basically when you give subcutaneous fluids or IV fluids. I don't know as much about IV fluids because I don't work in a hospital, so I don't do IV fluids, but I'm not going to poke at him. But, you know, the subcutaneous fluids basically go in the subcutaneous area, like just beneath the skin, and pure water would not be able to be absorbed through there. It has to be like a certain, it has to be a saline solution that your body can use to absorb. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if that made sense or not. I'm sure somebody can explain it better than I can. But yeah, you can't give like pure water subcutaneously. That would not be able to be absorbed properly. Do vets do, this is a great question. Do vets do dextrose IV fluids instead of saline based? We do that for babies. I'm a NICU nurse. Yes, they do. So there's a protocol that I don't know what it's called for you guys, and I don't know very much about it in veterinary medicine, but it's called D5W, and that is what he was on. And it's basically like what you say, like a dextrose IV fluid. That is what he was on for the last couple of days. Is he on any special food diet? Yes. He never tolerated kidney diets before, and it's always been, one of these, I'm sorry, did I startle you? Good morning, hi. Hi, baby. It's like blurry for some reason. I'm trying to get it to focus. It's focusing on his toe beans. There we go, that's better. Hi, honey bunny. I promise you he's feeling good. He just looks really tired. What was I talking about? Somebody remind me what I was just talking about because I genuinely forgot. Oh, diet. Diet, yes. So the problem with renal diets and kittens is that renal diets contain less protein. And, who just came in? Andrew just came in. Oh, that's okay. You woke him up enough to look like he actually has open eyes. So the renal diets, the kidney diets, have lower protein, but kittens need higher protein than even a normal adult cat diet, because they're still growing, their bones are still developing, all of the things, they need to gain weight, they need to develop muscle mass, all of that. So we were actually advised not to put him on any kind of special renal diet while he was a baby, because he could have not grown properly. Now that he is 6 months old and we've had kind of this scare, they feel that, in that kind of like catch-22 of needing more protein and less protein at the same time for different reasons, that it is now better for him to be on a renal diet. So that is why I have a couple options here for him that I'm trying to get him to eat. But they did have him on a renal diet at the hospital, and apparently he was eating it. So, yeah. Okay. Back to bed. He's so cute. I'm going to keep looking at questions. So if you have a question, please put it in the questions box. If you don't have a question, please don't put a comment in the question box. Only questions. Thank you. Let's see. Will he have to stay on meds now that he's back home? Yes, absolutely. He definitely has to stay on meds. He will have morning and nighttime meds. Another question, what meds is he taking? So for the time being, he's on Clavamox, Orbax, omeprazole. We're stopping. Sorry, let me explain what all of these things are, because maybe it's really boring. He's on 2 antibiotics. He's on omeprazole, which is an acid reducer. He is going to be on 2 different probiotics. Oh, sneezing. I don't even have the list in front of me. This is he's only been home for a couple hours, so I have to remember all the things. He's going to be on a potassium supplement. And what else? What am I missing? I have it all written down. No more fluids and no more phosphorus binder for now. So, wow, you are looking very tall and good and lean. You can see his little shaved spots. Yeah. He finally got up. He's been asleep this entire time. So, you gonna come down?
Time to party.
You gonna come party? We have like half as many people here as we did when I was explaining everything, but everybody who, antiemetics, yes, thank you. Serenia as needed. He was on Serenia at the hospital. You want to eat some of that stuff? It's so tasty. Doing a big stretch and scratch. They did trim his nails at the hospital because they said he kept jumping on everybody's shoulders and heads. So he's got very fresh pedicure. Are you going to eat that? Oh my God, please eat that. That would be so cool. That would be so cool if you ate that. He's like, I don't think so. I'm just going to keep scratching. So yeah, so that's my Fergs. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. Andrew, somebody asked, how is Andrew feeling?
Very relieved.
Relieved.
We're not out of the woods, obviously.
Yeah. That's the hard thing. I think sometimes, like, when it's like, Fergie's doing well, then it's like, oh, he doesn't have kidney disease anymore. And, like, he will always have kidney issues. But there's, like, having kidney issues, and then there's, like, being in crisis. And he is currently out of the crisis moment that he was in. Yeah. Do you want to go play in your play area? Come on. Let's go to the fun area. Let's go. Come on. Is Eloise? Woo!
I think she's still away.
Okay. Come on! Come on. Oh, so you can see he's rocking and rolling. We set up, it's such a like throwback. If you've been following since he was like teeny tiny. We seriously like went through this months ago. And you might remember we like made him his like Fergie's fun house. And we did it again today because we were like, Fergie's coming home. So we got him, oh, thank you. We got him all the toys. We put out a brand new little carpet area for him. New bed. He's still got his ball pit. He's got like a pile of toys. You've got all your toys. And he is loving being able to be out. Are you gonna play? You're just gonna sit there, silly. Yeah, I mean, our living room looks like a toddler room, but it's like a toddler room for Ferguson. Basically, our entire interior design theme is Ferguson. Ferguson's happiness is the theme. So yeah, here he is with his pile of goodies. And yeah, this cat is very loved. I really think he is. And yeah, we put Issa, the piglet, away for the time being. Yeah, that's where you were. That was so silly. You want to go back? Go back to the hospital? I don't think you do, dude. We put Issa in the nursery just because she is like 25 pounds now, and I don't want to stress him out. So he is piglet free right now. I can't believe you want to be in there again. Are you for real? He was like crying the whole way in the car home, like, please, I don't want to be in a cage anymore. I want to be free. Where are you going? I know you got paparazzi now, dude. Let's see if I can get him to take interest in anything. You want this? That was just sent to us today by one of our friends. Do you want that? Maybe? Maybe not? I will answer a couple more questions while we hang out with her. He's just protecting his toys. That's very good. Okay, I'll answer just a couple more questions. I know you guys have a lot of questions. A lot of people are asking about kidney transplants. So I will just answer this question here. How do I? It's not. Oh, it's okay. Andrew's taking the trash out. It's not that exciting looking. A lot of people are asking about kidney transplants. And that's a really complicated question. The fast answer is there's only like 3 places in the entire United States that do feline kidney transplants, and they don't do them here in California, and they can only do them from a live donor. And I think it's really complicated. I would not ever judge somebody for doing that. I really understand personally how horrible it is to have a cat who could be in a situation to need that. For me personally, I have a hard time with it because, 1 in 3 cats dies of kidney disease in old age. And I don't want to take a kidney from a cat who has a 1 in 3 chance of really needing it later. So those programs are cool in that they require that you adopt the donor cat after. I think that's awesome. And the idea is you can save both lives. And I do think that's really beautiful. But I personally, because the cat cannot consent to being a live organ donor, it's not something that I'm personally pursuing at this time. but trust me, I did a lot of research on it. I talked to a lot of people about it, and I think it's really complicated. Honestly, like, a lot of stuff with animal welfare is so complicated, which is why I always say, like, we just all need to be nice to each other, because this stuff is complex. Like, when do you make certain decisions, and how do you make those decisions? And, like, we all have different, we're all different, you know, and we all, I think, should, like, respect how hard these things are for everyone who goes through them. I mean, anybody who has a cat is at some point going to have to deal with illness and loss, and it's so hard. So I think just, like, being kind to people about the decisions they make is so important. You know, fortunately, we're not in that situation with Ferguson now. And the other like option for kittens or cats and dogs too is dialysis. It's something that we discussed. The clinic that I go to does do dialysis for cats and dogs. In fact, I see, like, the same dogs there, like, every time I go. But that's another, like, personal decision that I think is really hard, because it's like a lifelong thing, and they have to do it 5 hours every 3 days a week. Plus being in the car, it's like an hour away. So 7 hours, 3 days a week of being confused and in pain. And to me, I think it's really challenging. Like, I just think it's challenging. Like, we're all going to have everybody's going to have a different take on quality of life. And, you know, I am so grateful that I'm not in the situation where I have to, think about that right now, you know, but it's a lot. So my point is, all of this stuff is hard, and there's not great options when a cat is, like, in severe kidney failure. There's not great options. And at a certain point, you know, it is, you know, I will never let this cat suffer. I won't do it. Like, I will not let this cat suffer. I will never let his last memories be of being in pain. So I'm just so relieved that we, like, are not there right now, because this cat, who I don't even know where he went, he ran off on me again, is looking good. So let's look at him. Let me, hello, where are you going? Where are you going? Yeah, so I you know, it's complicated. It's interesting. It's a lot to balance. Hello. But you know what? We don't got to think about all that right now. Right now, we just got to think about, what toy do we want to play with? Where are we going to sleep tonight? Which faucet are we going to drink out of? And is he ever going to forgive me for sending him to the worst summer camp ever? No, maybe. He was being, like, really sweet with Andrew and not as sweet with me. And I was like, does he think that I just, like, sent him to the worst summer camp ever? Like, why did she send me there? So he's been sweet with me since, but I was like, oh God. Oh, yoy. Anyway. Are you just going to give them the tour of our messy room? Is that what's going on here? It's like, here's all of the messy crumbs from when Coco was eating dinner. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, there's his butt. Let's see. I'll answer, like, one or two more questions, and then I'll get off, because I feel like I've been talking forever. But I will post this if you missed it. I told, like, the whole story of everything that's been going on. Oh, he looks so good. Do you see how good this cat looks? Like, night and day from a week ago. He's so proud of you. We didn't even know if we would ever get him to come home. And now he's chilling. Looking good. So strong, so brave. So strong and brave. I'll answer a couple more questions. By the way, I just wanted to say, if you're here and you're interested in like the type of stuff that's on my mind these days, I am so interested. Oh my God, he's like really taking you on the tour of all of the mess in my room. I'm going to turn this around and talk for a second. He's really like, he's taking you over to the trash can to be like, here's the trash can. It's trash night, y'all. Okay, wait, he's being so cute. What was I going to say? I was talking about something. Oh, what I'm really interested in right now, other than this ridiculous cutie pie, is research. You know, we have a nonprofit organization. It's called Orphan Kitten Club, and you might know about it. You might even be a club member. If you go to orphankittenclub.org, you can find out how to become a club member. Everybody who supports that organization is not just supporting, you know, our foster kittens, but they're also supporting all of our programs. And I don't know if you know this, but like our programs are growing so much. You can't really see it because he's hiding. Our programs are really growing. And, ooh, what you doing? One of the things that I'm hoping to do, you know, we have our grant program. We have 50 partners across the country that we're working with and, you know, supporting really cool, innovative programs and individual medical cases and just trying to like really push kitten care and kitten rescue ahead. And one of the ways that I think kittens would really benefit from the support of this community and of our club members is in like ethical, obviously, research. You don't have to worry about me when it comes to ethics because I'm like, I've been vegan more than half my life now. I would not support anything that caused any harm to an animal, but there are amazing veterinary researchers out there who, a couple of which we are, you know, connected with, who are doing really cool research at universities, and there is a slowly growing body of knowledge, and that is a thing that I'm really interested in. So I'm considering whether we might get on a phone call this week to talk about oh my gosh, look at you hiding under there. To talk about the possibility of a kidney study for kittens, because I just have this feeling that this is much more common than we think. This is not just like my bias of like having a kidney kitten, but our organization, you know, we are fortunate to be in a position where we do try to really investigate diseases of kittenhood and, you know, causes of death. And I've been doing this long enough that I've heard for so much of my life, like, well, you know, sometimes kittens just die and like they just fade away. And that is not true. They don't just die and they don't just fade away. There's always a reason. There's always a reason that a kitten would be sick. And I think a lot of the time we are not, when I say we, I mean like kitten rescuers, and this is because of resources. You know, kittens are not getting diagnostic testing to find out why they are so sick. And so I think there's probably so many more Fergies and, you know, kittens who have a variety of different types of issues that would be treatable with more diagnostics and with internal medicine specialty. But obviously it's just a matter of resources and ooh, he's really interested in what you're doing. Taking his inhaler. He really liked that sound. He was like, what is he doing? You're taking medicine too? You're just like me.
He was on the hunt.
Oh boy. He's like, now I'm going to take you into my messy bathroom. Why do you have to give a tour of all the messy parts? Up. I know. I should have cleaned. There's my clothes on the floor over there. Don't look. Here, why don't we just go up here? Anyway, we have a couple of like discussions that we're having about potentials for studies that we might participate in the coming year, and I'm deeply interested in obviously kidney disease, and I'm also really interested in GI disease in kittens because it's just so common, and I'm so sick of watching kittens die of things that might be treatable if we just knew more, and we would know more if we, oh God, what's happening? He's under the blanket. If we did more diagnostics, and he's being wild. Okay, so anyway, that's the thing I'm interested in right now. But it's getting increasingly hard to keep up with this silly kitten, Ferguson, who has decided that the show is over and he's slipping behind the curtain. And are you going to come out for an encore, or is that it? Maybe if we all start like banging our feet and clapping our hands and saying, Fergie, 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 Fergie. Ah, the crowd goes wild. He came out for an encore. All right.
Really good.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, I think that's our cue. But thank you guys all for, you're not eating that. That's Coco's dinner. You are not eating that one. That is my cue, and that one's empty. There's nothing in there. Haha. Sorry, you gotta eat your kidney food. Here, come here. He's like, no. You wanna try that one? No, I don't. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go do all of his new stuff, but thank you guys all so much for hanging out. And thank you for all of your love for this beautiful boy. I genuinely feel like this community of support has made all of the difference for him. And I thank you all so much because I recognize I'm the one who gets to know him so well and be with him every day. But I feel like all of you love him just like I do. So I'm never going to be able to catch up to him to have him say goodbye. But thank you guys all so much. And I will keep you as updated as I can. Fingers crossed that tomorrow is a good day. Today certainly was. So, thank you guys all. Mwah, mwah, mwah.